That morning, we stepped into a stretch of deep forest where sunlight could barely reach the ground. The air was cold and damp, carrying the smell of decaying leaves. Birds called from the canopy above, peaceful, yet somehow keeping us on edge. This area had seen constant wild hog activity, uprooting young trees, destroying fresh cassava crops. So today's mission was clear: reduce the pressure on the nearby farms. Right at the forest edge, we reviewed our plan. Keep a spread-out formation, watch both sides of the low brush, move quietly, and follow every U.S. hunting regulation to the letter. Barely 10 minutes in, heavy rustling erupted ahead. A whole sounder, about 10 hogs, stepped out into a clearing. Instantly, our team dropped low and fanned out into a curved formation to block their downhill escape route. When the lead hog stepped into the red zone, our point man made a clean, decisive shot. The rest scattered in 3 different directions. We split exactly as planned. 2 hunters followed the left path with dense, low brush that could act as natural funnels, while the other 2 swung right, an area known for deeper hog hideouts. Fast moves, but calculated, enough to keep the forest from erupting into chaos. The left side of the forest was darker and thicker. Tall shrubs shook, clear signs of a hog separated from a sounder. We slowed down, kept distance, and advanced 1 cautious step at a time. In terrain like this, a sudden charge could be deadly, so we held overlapping angles to cover one another. Within a narrow opening, the hog showed itself for just a few seconds, enough for a clean shot, quick, controlled, and humane. Not long after leaving that spot, we heard the heavy steps of another adult hog. As it burst past a tree trunk, our left side hunter fired and connected, but the hog refused to drop, charging deeper into the brush. We didn't rush in. Instead, we marked the hit, studied the blood trail, and moved only when we had a clear path. The forest grew darker and damper. The smell of wet earth intensified as we followed drag marks for about 40-50 meters. Finally, we found it wedged beneath a massive root system. We formed a perimeter immediately. Never know if another hog is circling nearby. Sure enough, a low grunt echoed ahead, a smaller hog, foraging alone. But the terrain was bad. Fallen logs blocking sightlines, slippery soil, poor footing. Once both angles were steady and clear, the right side hunter took the clean shot. Terrain advantage made all the difference and kept everyone safe. Moving up a bare dirt slope, fresh scrapes showed a hog had just passed through. Cresting the ridge, we spotted the hog near a low mound. Perfect distance, open terrain, and a safe backdrop far from any farm structures, clean finish. Just when we thought the day was over, our scouts signaled movement, a dark shape slipping quietly through the underbrush. We quickly formed an L-shaped formation to block its descent toward the waterway. Once the safe shooting angle was confirmed, our point man ended the final hunt of the day cleanly. As the sun finally broke through the treetops, we gathered our gear and hiked back out toward the old trail and our Ford F-150. It had been a demanding hunt, but every step followed the law, clear, responsible, and aimed at protecting the farmers living near the forest. Standing on the slopes of Aspermont, we gazed down at the lowlands where fields had been ravaged, scarred, and torn by the all-too-familiar signs of wild boars. Deep furrows, chaotic and dense, marked their presence so clearly that we didn't even need binoculars to recognize that the herd had returned once again. These raids were no longer unexpected. They came with unsettling regularity, like a challenge hurled straight at us. We could no longer stand by and watch. Today, we decided to act to stop a menace that had troubled the locals for far too long. Armed with specialized rifles, scopes, and supporting gear, we took our positions on the highest ridge, scanning the valley below. Fresh tracks revealed that the boars were nearby and preparing for another round of destruction. As the massive herd began to stir and move, we focused on picking them off one by one. Each precise shot cracked through the air, sending chaos rippling through the herd as they bolted toward the opposite slope, desperately seeking cover in the forest. But the steep, open terrain offered them no easy escape. Within moments, we managed to bring down several more. It was the perfect start to this hunt. Just as we were checking the area, after the first shots, sudden movement flickered through the thick brush to our right. Out of the foliage burst a massive boar, charging straight at us with astonishing speed. No loud roar, only the pounding of hooves hammering the dry earth, grass snapping under its weight. We reacted instantly. Bullets sliced through the tense air like taut strings snapping, striking the beast head-on. It staggered, collapsed to one side, completely neutralized. We pressed onward, sweeping the surrounding hillsides, routes the boars had often used before. From our elevated vantage point, a large herd suddenly appeared, creeping silently toward the fields below. Had we not intervened, the damage would have been immense. I set my sights on the clearest target, the lead boar. My first shot flew straight and true. It dropped instantly among the grass without a sound. The rest of the herd panicked, wheeling back the way they came, abandoning their push into farmland. We didn't need to wipe them all out. Just one decisive strike, a timely show of resolve, was enough to restore peace to these hills once again. Ahead of us, a lone dark boar appeared, casually foraging in the open meadow, oblivious to our presence. The team froze, maintaining absolute silence. I raised my rifle, adjusted the scope, and boom, a clean hit. One large target down. A single calm moment was enough to show the steady control of an experienced hunter. Then, without hesitation, we moved on, ready for the next pursuit. Toward the day's end, as the sunlight softened, we spotted a solitary boar wandering slowly along the slope. No words were needed. I quickly positioned, adjusted my aim, and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out. The target was neutralized instantly, causing no panic or disturbance. Everything remained within control, just as expected from a team seasoned in both terrain and timing. Just when we thought the day's hunt was over, packing up with solid results, a daring boar appeared midway down the hill, charging recklessly toward the crop fields, as if wagering everything on one final run. Before it could reach the farmland, we locked into position. A sharp, decisive shot echoed, cutting its attempt short before any damage could be done. Silence returned to the valley once more. The confrontation with wild boars on the hills of southern Italy revealed just how destructive and unpredictable they can be. Though today we managed to keep things under control, I know the challenge is far from over. Early morning in the village of Alberobello, soft sunlight spreads across the white stone rooftops. Down in the fields, the soil is still scarred, wild boar tracks imprinted deep, furrows torn apart from the night before. If no timely action is taken, this entire crop might be lost. The distant thrum of a helicopter cuts through the thin morning mist, rotor blades slicing the cold dawn air. From above, we scan the familiar fields below, ready for today's mission. When the helicopter arrives, peace begins to return to the crops, to people's sleep, and to an Alberobello no longer disturbed at night. Join us on this journey. As the sun rises, we ride the wind toward the meadows where the ground still bears animal tracks. Moments later, the first wild boar bursts out, lumbering along an old path, panicked by the chopping sound of rotor blades swirling overhead. I focus on keeping the altitude steady, maneuvering the helicopter precisely along its calculated flight path. John grips his weapon, calm, sharp, locked in. His eyes track every move. Boom. Not a single miscalculation. The beast is swiftly brought under control by John's razor-sharp shot. Our team works like a perfectly tuned machine moving in sync. We're not here to chase for sport, but to protect the harvest, to restore peace for the farmers. We continue the aerial pursuit. Light rain drizzles down the cockpit glass fogged with moisture, but the target is clear. A herd of wild boars ravaging freshly sown fields. I hold the controls steady, adjusting altitude to give John the perfect angle. The moment has come. John locks his aim, squeezes the trigger. A burst of rounds streaks out, cold, precise. One by one, targets drop where they stand, leaving the field safe once again. What do you think of this wordless coordination between us? Leave a comment below if you could feel the pulse of this hunt too. We head toward a field near the forest edge where sunlight filters softly through the clouds. Suddenly, a dark boar appears, head down, rooting in the soil. John needs no reminder. His barrel lifts, eyes locked. The air holds its breath. One shot, clean, precise. Another target neutralized. The crops are safe again, and by morning, no new tracks will scar this field. By noon, the harsh light makes the sights flare. We lower altitude, keeping the chopper steady to ensure the firing path remains clear. Aerial pursuit at this level demands absolute focus and a flawless finish. That's what you just witnessed from a seasoned hunter's steady hand. And it didn't stop there. 2 more targets were swiftly and decisively taken down by John, a veteran marksman whose experience speaks in every pull of the trigger. In just minutes, the entire herd was under control. The crops secured, farmers reassured. By afternoon, the sun eases off, but our mission isn't over. Another herd approaches newly planted fields to the west. Ammunition is running low, but with John's marksmanship, confidence remains high. Mark reviews the thermal map, recalculates distance and wind. I hold the helicopter low, widening our field of view. 3 shots, 3 down, but a few sprint away at nearly 40 kilometers H, far off, forcing bullets off course. Dust clouds blur visibility, making it tough to lock them down. We give chase immediately. We cannot allow the herd to wreak havoc again. Peace is restored only after we confirm no fresh tracks remain. Dusk approaches, the sun setting behind the trees. We decide to deal with the last roaming herd swiftly before returning home. Every shot from above tears through the air, landing with pre-planned accuracy. None escape. Every move accounted for, no second attempts needed. The helicopter glides over the village rooftops as night falls, shadows stretching across tiles and fields. We end the day's work with quiet satisfaction. Today's success came not from individual skill alone, but from teamwork, planning, the right equipment, hunters' discipline, and the trust of the farmers. Boars, a relentless menace to the farmers of southern Italy, are becoming more destructive with each passing day. This morning, we left the village of Alberobello, crossing the Whitestone Hills to reach Laires, a place where fields of heavy grain are being ravaged. The locals here manage about 50 hectares of farmland, but half of it has already been trampled and destroyed. The damage continues to spread, and the crops are on the brink of being wiped out entirely. The sight of farmers' tears as they stand helplessly by their ruined fields has turned our resolve into a mission. That's why we, the elite hunting team from Alberobello, have made the decision to head out and assist the people of Laires. Join us on this journey. We made our way to a deserted plot near the forest's edge to set up the traps, a carefully chosen spot, far enough from the fields to ensure the remaining crops were safe. 4K cameras, night vision binoculars, and bait boxes, everything was ready. The bait packets were placed in the clearing. A few minutes later, just as expected, a herd of wild boars lumbered into the area, drawn by the scent of food. Their gluttonous nature led them straight into danger, and that was our chance. We remained calm, not rushing into action. As the lead boar continued to focus on the food, the first arrow shot out, glowing red like fire slicing through the air hitting the target. The herd panicked and scattered, but 2 boars, still hungry, lingered behind. I carefully monitored their movements as one of them moved into perfect range. Without hesitation, the next arrow shot out like a gust of wind, hitting the wild boar squarely in the flank. It collapsed, taken down instantly, while the other boar bolted into the woods. This herd probably won't be back anytime soon. A great start to today's hunt.
We don't want to get too far that way.
No. I mean, there's a ton of cover there. If we go in there a little bit, stalk around on them.
As we ventured deeper into the forest of Laires, we quickly realized the terrain was completely different. Open, airy woods with dry ground, making movement easier. It became clear that switching to bows rather than firearms was the right choice. The wild boars here were extremely sensitive to sound. Before us, 2 wild boars were calmly grazing on the open field. Mark signaled, and John immediately loosed an arrow. The sharp whoosh of the arrow echoed through the air, striking one of the boars. Both boars startled, spinning around before charging into the dense forest. The shot had been precise, and they vanished into the wilderness in an instant. A few more troublemakers had been intimidated by our presence, and they were unlikely to venture near the rice fields again. By noon, we made our way up to a new lookout post not far from where we were, offering a wide view of the open ground below. The wild boars appeared, drawn by the bait we set out earlier in the morning. John stood firm, his eyes locked on the target, carefully lining up the shot. He wasn't in a rush. With patient precision, he waited for the perfect moment, then gently and decisively pulled the bowstring. With the skill of a seasoned hunter, the arrow flew through the air, striking the lead boar squarely, giving it no chance to escape. A clean, precise shot, powerful and decisive. Impressed by John's calm execution? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts.
Hey, pig.
We decided to take a break near the ambush point, ready to act quickly, knowing that more greedy boars would likely appear. Sure enough, just as the sun began to dip slightly toward the west, another herd of large black wild boars made their way toward the bait. This time, Mark quietly signaled that he'd handle it. He calmly observed, choosing the perfect angle before releasing the arrow. The shot was precise, striking the lead boar and sending the rest of the herd into a panicked frenzy, scattering back into the forest. True to his role as team leader, Mark was quick and decisive, showcasing expert marksmanship. With just one misstep, these boars could have destroyed the entire area, but thanks to his skill, the field remained safe.
I might give it a minute. Oh my gosh.
Our hunting team left the village while the mist was still hanging in the air, heading towards Kanto, where the wild boars were wreaking havoc. In just a few nights, they had destroyed countless crops, threatening the villagers' entire harvest. As experienced hunters, we knew all too well. If we didn't act quickly, the entire village would be in danger. Armed with guns, knives, and traps, we moved into Kanto with one goal: to eliminate this threat. But as soon as the first shot rang out, amidst the cliffs and dense forest, we realized what was waiting for us in the darkness: a pack of monsters. Join us on this hunt. Wild boars are instinctive creatures. They always choose the same paths between their feeding grounds and hiding spots. And that predictable habit is their weakness. We waited in our ambush position. The sound of hunting dogs suddenly rang out. John immediately raised his rifle. A massive boar burst from the thick bushes, its black fur gleaming. Two shots took it down instantly. Swift, No chosetashkin, a successful start to the hunt. But Kanto's forest is never predictable. We kept our rhythm, moving on, and soon we took down a few more formidable targets. The team split up, each of us well aware of the boar's paths and shooting positions. I hid by the edge of a thicket, gripping my S686 tightly after what felt like an eternity of waiting. When a moment came, I took down a target that could have caused severe damage if left unchecked. But that wasn't going to happen because our team was here. Despite the lurking dangers, we stood firm. This land is our home, and protecting it, well, that's something no one in our team needs to be reminded of. At the same time, my teammates took down a few more difficult targets. After hunting in the lowland forest, I quickly moved with the team up the hillside where there was a wider view, and it was the last line of defense before the villagers' fields. Mark was the first to spot a sign. A wild boar was moving through the valley, trying to sneak up to the farmland. The moment it emerged from behind the trees, John was ready. One shot rang out, taking the beast down before it could cause any damage. Our coordination isn't just from training, it's the result of hundreds of life and death moments shared together. The calm didn't last long. Mark and John discovered a new danger, silently advancing through the dense bushes to control the creature's movements. From my vantage point, I saw a dark figure dart out from the trees, heading straight for them fast and vicious. Without hesitation, I signaled a warning. They reacted instantly. A single shot rang out, sharp and decisive. The beast dropped before it could even get close. Even with danger so near, our hunters remained calm and composed, handling the situation with the experience that only comes from years of hunting. If you think this moment was cool, give us a like. By late afternoon, the sun still blazed. I received word from my teammates. A group of wild boars was moving along the hillside. After a full day of tracking, we were finally seeing results. I held my position, preparing to intercept, setting up the strategy we had agreed upon. The moment it emerged from the thicket, I aimed my rifle and BM. The sound echoed in the silence, powerful enough to send the entire group of boars into a panic. Another shot rang out, splitting the group, forcing them to scatter deeper into the forest. They no longer dared to approach the lush cornfields below. Victory requires careful preparation, quick action, and smooth coordination between people who share the same goal of protection.